You've done everything right. You're the dependable one, the fixer, the strong one. So why do you still feel like it's not enough? You're not enough. In this video, we're unpacking eldest daughter syndrome, the invisible pressure to overachieve, overgive, overfunction, and why you constantly feel like you're falling short, even when you're burning yourself out to get it all done. I'm Jayleen, and I help high-achieving eldest daughters just like you go from chronic burnout and emotional exhaustion to feeling worthy without having to prove anything. Before we go deeper, I want you to take the free burnout quiz that's in the description. It's going to show you exactly where you fall on the burnout scale and what your body and your mind are trying to tell you. Your results are going to help you know where to begin on your burnout recovery journey. Completely free quiz, links in the description. So first, let's dig in a little bit into eldest daughter syndrome. You were trained to overachieve before you could even spell it. If you're an eldest daughter, you were likely handed responsibilities long before you were developmentally ready for them. Maybe you were praised for being mature or helpful or so good with your siblings. But what most people missed is this: those compliments were often code for "we expect you to self-sacrifice." You didn't just learn to help, you learned that being needed was your currency for love. Your emotional labor was normalized. Your accomplishments weren't just celebrated, they became the baseline. So as you grew older, your brain wired itself to chase validation through doing, fixing, achieving. Resting started to feel like a threat. And even now, as an adult, that programming still persists. You feel anxious when you're not doing something productive. And then guilt creeps in when you even think about setting boundaries or pushing back or saying no. And no one says it directly to you, but the voice inside your head says, if you stop, you won't be useful anymore, and then you'll be forgotten. Nobody will need you. The eldest daughter is not just a birth order, it's a role. It's a deeply conditioned identity. And unless it's questioned, it will run your life. And that invisible rule book, this is why your to-do list never ends. This is why accomplishments feel like check marks, not celebrations. And this is why, despite your success, you often feel emotionally empty, because you've been trained to prioritize everyone else's needs above your own and call it normal. The first step to healing this is not to work harder, it's to wake up. Only then can you begin to unravel that myth that your worth is tied to your output. Guilt is not a moral compass, it is a warning sign. So let's talk about that. The gnawing, heavy feeling that you get when you rest, that's guilt. And as an eldest daughter, guilt feels like a shadow. It follows you everywhere. You're likely praised for being selfless. Maybe you were called the good girl or the glue that held the family together. And over time, guilt becomes your motivator. It's how you knew that you were doing the right thing, by ignoring your needs and focusing on everyone else's. You didn't feel guilty. But the truth is, guilt isn't always an indicator of wrongdoing. It's an emotional response to violating a belief system, even if that belief system is flawed. And for many eldest daughters, that belief system sounds like resting is lazy, saying no is selfish, you're not lovable when you're not useful. And that creates a loop. You overextend, you burn out, you feel guilty for wanting to stop. You overextend, you burn out, right? Guilt doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're doing something bad. It means that you have internalized survival patterns that just don't serve you anymore. You can feel guilty and still do it anyways. Guilt is not a stop sign. It's just a signal that you're doing something new. Let's be real. If guilt is your constant companion, how are you supposed to heal? You can't recover if rest feels like you're rebelling. You can't grow if boundaries feel like you're betraying someone. Guilt will keep you loyal to that suffering. So the next time that guilt shows up, when you cancel plans or ask for help or don't reply to the family chat, just remember, it's not a sign you're doing something wrong. You're just doing something different. And I'm just going to mention the free burnout quiz again. It's in the description. The first step to understanding where you are on the burnout cycle is this quiz. And that's how you're going to get unstuck as soon as you know where you're at. So the link's in the description. It's a free quiz. Grab the link and take the quiz. Now let's talk about boundaries. These are not barriers, they're bridges. Most eldest daughters don't just struggle with setting boundaries, they agonize over them. There is a fear of being seen as rude or selfish or ungrateful, and it runs deep. And the moment that you try to set a limit, what happens? Cue the guilt, cue the drama, cue the overthinking spiral. But boundaries aren't about keeping people out, they're about keeping you intact and protected. These are emotional fences. They allow the right energy in and keep the chaos out. Without boundaries, you're just open and you're a dumping ground for everyone's expectations. You're the go-to therapist, the emergency contact, the unpaid project manager, and you're paying for it with your peace and your energy. When you set boundaries, you're not saying, I don't care. You're saying, I care enough to protect my well-being. And the people who truly love you, they're going to learn to respect that. The ones that guilt-tripped you, they're uncomfortable because you're growing. Boundaries are especially important for eldest daughters because you've never had any. You were often expected to absorb your parents' emotions, manage your siblings, smile through it all. And now as an adult, you feel selfish when you say, no, I can't make that. I can't do that. I'm not going to be going, not available. But what I want you to remember is saying no is a complete sentence, and choosing yourself doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a whole person. If you've ever felt like you're carrying the emotional weight of your entire world, you are not alone. These patterns that you're living in were not created by you, but it is your responsibility to change them if you want to feel better. You were never meant to earn your worth through exhaustion. You are not just the strong one. You are a whole human being with needs, with limits, with value, and is non-negotiable. So make sure to take the burnout quiz, links in the description. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, share it with other firstborn daughters that you think it might help. Subscribe to the channel so that you see other videos from me in the future. And then make sure that you watch this video next.